Hey everybody. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be doing the next problem. And if you notice, this is 2-3. The first problem that we did in class today was 2-1. And you might be wondering, well, where's 2-2? Well, 2-2 is pretty close to being the same as 2-1. So I thought I'd skip it, because if you take your time and you really listen to the first problem, and because it's on a video, you can rewind it whenever you need to, it should be a lot easier for you. All right, so we're going to go through 2-3. Again, it might look a little different on your paper than it does on mine, just because yours is on a sheet of paper and I'm on in a notebook software. So 2-3 says the growth of a tile pattern C is represented by the equation y equals 3x plus 1. So if you remember, here we created an equation. Now what we're going to do is, and this was the end result, now we're going to start with an equation. And we're going to take a look at how does this equation help us create a table. Because if we know this equation, this table is going to take you about 15 seconds. Well, if you got a good pencil, I have to write with the mouse, but it should only take you about 15 to 20 seconds to do. So let me get a pen. Now my wife says I always choose red, so I'm going to choose red right here. So we got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you remember back here, we had figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. We had to figure out figure 4, and here's figure 0. So that's really what you're looking at here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the number of tiles is your y. So if we looked at here, where figure 1 had 7 tiles, that would be your y. Figure 2 had 10 tiles, that would be your y. Now we're looking at a different equation, so those numbers don't fit in here, but that's really what we're looking at. So remember we talked about how this is your slope and this is your y-intercept. If you know that one fact, if you know that one thing, so you are going to have to do a little learning here, but if you know that that's the y-intercept right here, and this is the slope, this is how this graph can go really easy. So you see where figure 0 is? The y-intercept always goes there. Now you know how this 3 here, and if we go back here, you notice how this was 3? And what happened here? Well, it went up by 3 each time. So that's what's going to make this graph so easy. Well, what's 3 plus 1? 4. What's 4 plus 3? 7. What's 7 plus 3? 10. What's 10 plus 3? 13. So that's how a little knowledge can help you fill this out. We don't have to really do much math. As long as we know a few facts, this is pretty easy to fill out. Now, can we test this? Yes. So let's take a look at 4 here. If we plugged 4 in to the equation, it would look like this. Y equals 3. Now it'd be 3x, but what is x? We want to figure out. X is 4, because we wanted to calculate this, plus 1. So what's 3 times 4? 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. Hey, let's try 3. What's 3 times 3? 9 plus 1 is 10. So again, this makes it really quick and easy. As long as you have a little knowledge, that knowledge can be really dangerous because you can get to know a lot of math really fast. So by how many tiles is pattern C growing? So if you look at this, we know it's growing by 3. And what's its starting point? That's the y-intercept right here. It's where your 0 is. So the starting point is 1. Where do you look in the table to see the growth and the starting value? Well, the starting value is, where do you look in the table to see the growth? Okay, so the starting value is where x is 0. So I'm going to draw a line out there. It's where x is 0. So x is 0, that's your starting value. Where do you see the growth? Let me grab a different color pen. Now, do you notice how this goes up by 3? This goes up by 3. This goes up by 3. And this goes up by 3. So where do you see it in the table? It's how much, and let me type that up. It's how much the y is growing by. And I can shrink that a little bit so it fits in there. So when I look at it in the equation, you see the 3 here, you see the 1 here, the 1 here. In the table, you see the 1 right here, and you see the 3 by how much the y is growing by. So where do you look in the equation to see the growth in a starting value? Go ahead, write that out. I'm going to show you again. Where do you look in the equation to see the growth? Let me get a different color pen. So the growth, and I'll write this out again, 3x plus 1. So where do you see the growth? Right here. It's the one with the x. And where do you see the starting value? It's at the end. Now keep in mind, these could both be negatives, and it could be like 3x minus 1 if this started out at -1. So any questions on 2-3? All right, so we're going to put 2-5 right into this as well. And it's going to go by pretty quickly. So that way we only have 2 videos, and then we're done. We're only doing 3 problems today, then you can work on the review preview. So now consider tile pattern D shown. Draw figures 0 and 4 for this tile pattern on the resource page. So one of the things, again, just like the first problem you did today, I want you to get in a habit. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5. What do we got here? 2, 4, 6, 8. Is that 9? Well, we got 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. So we know there's 13 here. We know it goes up by 4. And again, you're going to see why all this is beneficial. So whenever you have to analyze these, get in the habit of doing this. So where is it growing by each time? Right here. Those 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where it's growing by each time. And that's how you get the 4. So did you have to do that to begin with? No. But you're going to see where it's going to come in handy. So now it says draw figure 0. Well, if we have to draw figure 0, this is figure 1. Now this is where all this work comes into play. So this 5, it goes up by 4 to 9, it goes up by 4. Can we go backwards? What's 13 minus 4? 9. What's 9 minus 4? 5. What's 5 minus 4? 1. So figure 0 will have just 1. And I'm going to put the F here. So figure 0 has 1. And if I go to figure 4, well, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So if we go 9 plus 4 is 13. What's 13 plus 4? And you can use your fingers. 13, 14, 15, 16. So it's got 17. So I'm going to have to make sure. Now, you notice figure 3 has 3 tiles long right here. So I can start here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's going to be this. And then it's going to go, and I'm just going to put dots here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm not going to necessarily take the time to draw all these in, but you can draw them in. You're not drawing with a mouse. But this is what it would look like. So if you drew those all in. So by analyzing this and putting these numbers up here, this goes pretty quick. Now you're also going to see something that goes quick. It says, write an equation for the number of tiles in a pattern. Use color to show where the numbers in your equation appear in a tile pattern. So let's go. We haven't used blue yet, I don't think. So I'm going to go y equals. So I'm going to write the equation. It says, use color to show where the numbers in the equation appear in the tile pattern. So I'm going to put the x plus. So I'm going to use green. So the first thing is, what is it growing by each time? That's there. So we remember if we back up and we look at it here, this is what it's growing by each time. It's right there. It's growing by 3 each time. Or when we look at this tile pattern, it's growing by 3. And then we had to get the equation. It's right there. So that's that. And so where is it here? I'm going to put the 4 here because y, it says use color to show where the numbers in your equation appear in a tile pattern. So you can do it in pen and you can do it in pencil. You're fine. You don't need color pencils to do this. If I'm in class, you can ask for some. They're actually over on the cart by the door. They're in the little blue. Actually, they might be in the supply kits. So you can just do it with pencil and you can do it with pen. So one more color here. So use color to show where the numbers in the equation appear in the tile pattern. Okay, here's the 4. Now what's the last thing? It's the y-intercept. And the y-intercept is 1. Where do I see that? Right here. Your F0 is your 1. Where this 0, it was 1. Where this 0 right here was 4. Now look at the equation. And I went back too far. There's the 4. So the 1 is located right here. It's your F0. So now let's take it a little bit further. C says make a table for the equation you wrote in part B. So again, this is where a little knowledge will really come in handy. So if I go back here, what was figure 0? It was 1. So if I go here to figure 0, what was it? 1. If I go here, how many were in figure 1? 5. So by counting these out, now this makes it really easy. Now remember, 5, 9, and 13. So if I go back here, this is 5, 9, and 13. Why? Because we went up by 4 each time. But what if we go backwards? What's 1 minus 4? Well, be a negative 3. Minus 4 more, it's going to be what? Negative 7. Minus 4 more is a negative 11. This is why knowing your integers. So you see how quick we did this? Because we have a little knowledge. We know how this works right here. And we know how this works. It really makes this quick. So do the same about this pattern. What is the same about this pattern and pattern C? So when we look at these, pattern C, right here, it grew by 3. So what is the same? Did this one grow by 3? No, it grew by 4. Now, they both grow, they both go up, but they had different growth. They grew differently. How about when we look at the equation, how about the slope? Here it's 1, but, oh, look at that. That is the same. So when we ask you, what is the same about the tile pattern? They both had a y-intercept of 1. So that is one thing. So go ahead, type that out. What is the same? They both had a tile, or they both had a slope of 1. No, they both had a y-intercept of 1. What is different? They had different slopes. They had different slopes. So what would those similarities and differences look like in a tile pattern? It just means that this tile pattern right here is growing faster than if we were to draw out this tile pattern. Because this tile pattern would only grow by 3 each time, where this tile pattern would grow by 4. So what do the similarities and differences look like in the equation? Well, let's look. They have different ones of those. Here, I got an idea. Let's take some pictures. So if I put that right there, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it right there. I'm gonna go to this one right here. I'm gonna take that picture. And I'm going to put that right there. So now we can see both equations side by side. So what do the similarities and differences in part B look like in the equation? Well, they both have 1s at the end. That's the y-intercept, but they have different slopes. So we can see it in the tile patterns, although we didn't draw a tile pattern for this one, but we could. And what do the similarities and differences look like in the table? Well, here's a table for this one. You can see it right here. And here's a table for this one. So they both started with 1. We didn't go into the negatives here. But you notice how after 4 or after 3, they only have 10. But here after 3, we have 13. So they have numbers in it, but they're growing a lot faster. So what we did today is we took a huge leap forward into how these things work. So hopefully you've watched the videos. Hopefully you've asked questions of your partners as you're going through the video. Do I expect you to have this all mastered by now? No. But I do expect you to have a little bit of a working knowledge. And when we go through the next lesson together in class, hopefully you don't look at stuff and say, I don't know what that is. I've never seen what that is. When did we ever learn about that? Because you just did right here. So if I'm in class, ask questions. If I'm absent, well, then you're on your own. So what are you going to do after this? What you're going to do after this is you are going to go into Google Classroom, and I will show you what I have planned right here. So let me get rid of this. So you did problems 1, 3, and 5. Now do the review problems 6 and 7. And you're thinking, wow, you only have 2 review problems? Yes. And because I only have 2 review problems, I expect you to get a bunch of these skills done. Now don't forget, some of you have skipped integer basic skills and you went right here. But don't forget to go back and finish these first, because I'm hoping that these will be done really, really soon. Some of you already have them done. If you do finish the lesson 2 IXL skills, I did post lesson 3 IXL skills in the same spot in Google Classroom. So you can start working on those. Actually, it's not chapter 3. Did you notice that today we did another chapter 2? This is actually out of the algebra book. So we're going to do another chapter 2. So this is part of that learning the algebra concepts this year as well. So again, good luck. Hopefully I'm there in class and you can ask questions. If not, good luck. And again, I expect you guys to work and be mature 8th graders. Thanks. Bye.